We got big news. We got big news out of T-Mobile. Let's discuss it here in this video. We got press releases. We got 2 of them to cover. Lots to talk about. So let's get right into it. I watched the entire event. It was a little over an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes. I sat through the talking points. I sat through the Q&A. So I wanted to discuss that in this video. I feel, right before I get into the article and the press release, I just wanted to talk about, I feel this is very important, right? It's a very important segment. So I want to say thanks for any of you that are first responders on the channel. This is very important, but I also want to emphasize in this video that this is also a very important step for T-Mobile, right? Even prior to the Sprint merger, T-Mobile they were doing a little bit of stuff for first responders, right, in terms of competing for agencies and first responders, but they knew their place, in other words, right? They knew we really don't have to scale. We really didn't have a lot of low band. We really didn't have a lot of indoor solutions. So they kind of had to sit this one out, right, before the Sprint merger. So now, after Sprint merger, with the additional assets gained, the tower sites, the Sprint keep sites, the additional spectrum of 2 companies, now T-Mobile is getting a little bolder. They're getting more confident, right? But you see, I want to point this out, and I'm not bashing T-Mobile, but they waited another 5 years almost to take this commercial, right? The official commercial launch of T-Priority starts tomorrow, and they waited another 5 years post-merger to go commercial. So that tells you, right, even in 2020 and 2021, when they had the 5G SA core launched on low band, then they started to scale mid-band. They still weren't ready back then to really go after these agencies and go bigger, right? If pricing was the issue, right, if these agencies are looking for a lower cost provider, T-Mobile could have easily got them in 2022, 2023, but they didn't, because they knew, again, it wasn't the right place and time for them to do that. They knew the network was still being built out. They just weren't ready, right? They were waiting for the SA core. Voice over NR still needed to be tweaked. So they weren't ready. So it took them about 5 years to get this ready. I wanted to point that out briefly before getting into the press release. But now that it's here, they want to go big. And that's where I will also point out Verizon, AT&T, FirstNet, Verizon Frontline. If you're watching this, you better get ready. T-Mobile is not going to stop now. They're going to use a winning playbook that you guys have seen them win with on the consumer side. They're starting to win in business. They're starting to win in small market and rural areas. They're going to take that same playbook, and they're going to go after these first responder agencies, right? And some have even said at all cost. They're willing to go at this at all cost, meaning they want to come in cheaper and provide a capability that Verizon and AT&T still can't provide today just yet. They're working on the SA core, but T-Mobile has it first. So T-Mobile is able to approach this with a cheaper cost and a capability that the others can't quite yet go after. So T-Mobile is taking advantage and soaking up the opportunity, right? So I wanted to point that out. So let's get into this press release. So we got some plans that are coming. So the Go 5G first responder plans have been in rotation, but again, they weren't really pushing this because they knew they had to stay in their place. But now they're confident, right? More backup generators are going on sites. They have additional redundancy. They've built additional security into the networks, right? Remember all the hacks and data hacks they had. So they've done the additional investment to now really come out. All of a sudden, boom, here we got this event. We're going big, right? So you got the Go 5G for first responder plans. The T-Priority slice is included on us for a limited time. After that limited time, it's going to cost $7.50 to be on the first responder priority slice. So just keep that in mind. It's $7.50. Very reminiscent to AT&T Turbo. For those of you who remember that was a $10 upcharge to be on a higher priority. Not anywhere close to what T-Mobile is doing with the slicing, but I just used that for comparison's sake. So next, you have exclusive discounts and benefits. First responders get up to 40% All family lines with T-Mobile's Go 5G Unlimited plan with 5G access included. Go 5G first responder plans also come packed with amazing benefits like Apple TV, Hulu on us, Netflix on us, free in-flight Wi-Fi, all that goodness that we've seen on the consumer side. T-Mobile Tuesdays, Magenta Status, all that stuff. So, new Essentials plan. They're releasing a new Essentials plan. For those who need just the basics, T-Mobile is introducing a new Essentials plan for first responder customers available starting February 21st. T-Mobile's Essential First Responders plan has the best pricing for first responders, families compared to AT&T and Verizon on America's leading 5G network. First responders on the Essential First Responders plan can also add on the T-Mobile Priority Slice to get unlimited priority. So just to say they're cheaper, this plan is going to be offered at $45. AT&T's FirstNet is at $48. So they can still say and claim that they are cheaper. So T-Mobile is also doing some charitable work. They're also offering a free concert, a free Post Malone concert tonight for first responders in New York City. They're also donating $2 million for supporting initiatives like scholarship programs for children of fallen heroes. Tunnel to Towers will also be hosting a concert like I just mentioned. And then this includes a recent donation of over $1 million to the American Red Cross to support critical on-the-ground efforts in the Los Angeles area. So you guys have it here, right? Well, like I said, there's another article that we need to discuss. But this is a very big step in a direction, right, that T-Mobile needed to go. They had the 5G available. They have the spectrum. They have all the SA, the voice over NR. They needed to do this, right? If they waited any longer, eventually Verizon and AT&T will catch up to the core and tweaking it and the voice over NR and all that. So they needed to do this now. This was the right time to do this and go big, right? So they have, like I said, they mentioned today, 40,000 first responders on the T priority, and they are the single network for the first responders in New York City. So that's about $10 million in cost savings. And something that they mentioned during the event, that T-Mobile is going to use this, by the way, but the CTO of New York City said that they were at the table with all the carriers. It wasn't just T-Mobile. They were at the table discussing with Verizon, with AT&T, what can you do for us? And after testing and after everything, this was what he said, not me. He said T-Mobile was the best network and the cheapest cost for the city. That's what he said. I don't know if that necessarily meant that he was talking about the best absolute network that they could have gotten, but he said it was the best 5G network. And like I said, right now, the capabilities that T-Mobile's network has, the others really can't match toe-to-toe yet. They will soon. And at the cheapest cost, about $10 million in savings for the city. So they immediately jumped on that. I mean, if Verizon and AT&T are not going to match the cost or go below that, it's quite an easy sell, right? So he did discuss that during the event. There was another fire chief there from Allen, Texas, that's on T priority. And then the state of Florida. It sounds like a good portion of the entire state of Florida, at least the fire department, is on T priority. So T-Mobile is working this. So Verizon and AT&T with FirstNet and Verizon with Frontline, again, they're going to feel competition that they've never felt before in that space. It's only been Verizon for a long time. Then we got FirstNet that started competing against Verizon, and now it's T-Mobile competing against Verizon and AT&T. So that's competition in that space we've never gotten before to this type of level, you know, where T-Mobile is able to take entire agencies as the single carrier, right? To even trust T-Mobile in that regard, I would say just 5 years ago, I would have not. But now it seems to be the case. So there was also something that was discussed during the event, right? Like during the Q&A. What about indoor solutions and underground coverage? T-Mobile was actually quite transparent. They said, you know what? We don't cover every area of the city in terms of the in-building the best. And we may not have services in some underground locations, but we are working with the city. We are willing to make investments. And we are looking at our hexagons, right? Customer focused driven coverage. For those of you who have heard that before, that term before, we're looking into that, they said, and where it's needed, they're gonna deploy and they're gonna invest, right? The only issue I have with that, there wasn't a timetable provided as to how long that would take. And what if a first responder does go into an underground subway or whatnot where T-Mobile doesn't have coverage? What happens then, right? So that's something that wasn't really clarified, wasn't really talked into further detail. So I'd still have questions on that, right? What happens then where Starlink can't reach, where there's no native coverage? What do you do then, right? You might have to go back, to ground level to just make a phone call. I don't know. I'm speculating at that point. But that was not clarified much beyond just that question that was asked by a gentleman in the crowd. So we have lots to discuss. There's another article. The event was about 1 hour and 10 minutes long. There wasn't a lot of Q&A. I think the Q&A was like 15 minutes tops. Something to note, I put that on my X. Mike Sievert was not at this event. I don't know what that means for the future, but this was a big launch for T-Mobile that I felt like he should have been at. They had John Fryer presenting part of the event. He's the consumers president, so I don't know why I would have thought that Mike Sievert would have opened up the event with a speech or a presentation, and then Kali Field would have came out, but he wasn't there at all. He wasn't even part of the Q&A. So I felt like that was interesting and something to note. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all in the next one. Peace.